What is going on, everyone? Badger here. Make sure to like and sub, and let's get into this. I promise, it's not going to turn into only a Sweet Baby Inc. channel. It's an important story right now that the algorithm is loving, and based on the comments and all the 100+ subscribers from that last video, you guys want me to keep talking about this. So, I just want to do a little bit of a retrospective even, and show how long this has been going on for, at least in this form, Sweet Baby Inc. specifically. And we know that is 2018. And we're going to hear from one of the actual main consultants, one of the people responsible for Alan Wake 2, and from their own words. Of course, it's an article from 2023 before they got found out, and so they're really confident in what they're saying. But just real quick, I just wanted to show this before we get to that. This is Sweet Baby Inc.'s website, where if you hover over the games that they say they worked on, it tells you what their influence was. Spider-Man 2, they worked on story consultation. So they worked on the story, and in the story, Peter at the end is essentially cucked, and Miles is the main Spider-Man. Black Cat is suddenly bi, queer representative, blah, blah, blah. Not hard to see where their story work came from. God of War Ragnarok, they worked on narrative and character consultation with a focus on representation. Yes, the Norse mythology that, is known for a lot of Black people in Norse mythology, that was the focus on representation. And then, of course, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, they worked on script writing, which includes banter. And since I was subjected to watching the horrible fucking clips of that, since God knows I wasn't going to play it, we had banter of Black race swap Deadshot, guilting and making fun of Green Lantern for being a space cop and calling him a race traitor, as well as a bunch of other cringy dialogues, cutscenes, like probably having them pee on Flash. Yeah, you get it. Killing Batman. I wonder whose idea that was. Oh, and if you're wondering, yes, all the trans flags and we're allies and all the audio logs that had LGBTQI queer representation, and there's a lot of them. And no, please God, don't make me look that up. And more Sweet Baby. And here's the one that it's sort of going to focus on, just because it's an article and then an article that it expands on it. But they worked on the character arc, voice, and sensitivity reading. And what's sensitivity reading? They read over the shit. It's basically critical race theory. They look over a project and they go, what would be sensitive? No, this is not. The Black people might find this offensive. This. Yeah. So staying on Alan Wake 2, because that's the one that I noticed the most. And I was waiting for that game for a decade. And then you got it, and it was barely an Alan Wake game. It was a fucking Saga Anderson game. And here we have Alan Wake, the game director, and then it talks about how they made Saga. He says it out loud. And so here's Sam, all stars burn out. While I had a lot of respect for Sam Lake, the more I hear him talk, the more I see the decisions he's made, more I'm losing it. It is important to say that even though this is Alan Wake 2, this is just as much a Saga Anderson game, said creative director Sam Lake. Our starting point in this whole thing was that we have two protagonist characters who are equals and with equals and equality, equity, and have different points of view. It is a 50-50 split, because I know everyone that spent 10 years waiting to play Alan Wake 2 wanted to spend half that time not as Alan Wake, with a far less interesting character that's also race swapped, literally diluting the story portion of it. And it'll say it right here. Hold on. As the story deals with Alan Wake and is the supernatural lore established in the area, but it is just as much a Saga Anderson story. She will be learning a lot about herself that she wasn't necessarily aware of. And in many ways, she's exactly the character she needs to be for this story. And yeah, it goes on to talk about the first Black protagonist and blah, blah, blah. But the important thing is we're here where it says finding Saga Anderson. For creating Saga, the developers at Remedy took a different approach compared to the process behind other hero characters. Try not to laugh when you hear that. Resulting in a more organic creative collaboration across, because there's nothing more organic than bringing in outside race grifters to help consult. And that's where Kim Belair comes in. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, along with working with story and narrative consultant Kim Belair of Sweet Baby Inc. to refine the character voice, and I don't think they mean dialogue, they mean the voice of the character, what that character is going to be saying as a message and story arc. The key creatives of Alan Wake 2 also worked extensively with actress Saga Anderson. This would be the second BIPOC actress after they fired the white one, Melanie Liburd, who offered suggestions and other insights that led to Saga Anderson's scene in the final game, and also led to a horribly boring-ass character that no one liked or identified with. I think that it took us a long time to find Saga, said Rowley on the character. It was because it's a fake, it's not a real, like, I know it's like, oh, they're all fake characters, but like it's a fake insert of a character, which did not come naturally from the need of the story, and or at least not in the version that ended up. Saga was always going to be in it. I said she was already established, but she's playing a very different point of view character, very different role. And I guarantee you, it was Sweet Baby that made her a full half and half partner, and of course led to all the race swapping, which then leads, of course, as they point out, to her only being half Nordic and her now black father being an absentee father, thus increasing a stereotype. But that all leads to so that's Kim. So now we know Kim Belair is the one of these main consultants. And oh, look, here's an article. Sweet Baby Inc.'s Kim Belair offers developers advice on making truly diverse and inclusive narratives that matter and resonate with audiences. This December 4th, 2023. Oh, no, look, there's her stunning and brave. That's what they did for Ragnarok. Just make people black in their Norse mythology, because it's okay to take other people's representation. You see, when you're taking other people's representation, that's fine, because you're just doing equity. You're making it good. But then when someone else says, no, don't do that, then you get to call them like a racist. It's really funny. So here we go. In the past decade, video games have gotten visibly more. And remember, this is 2023, but Sweet Baby Inc., and they're going to say right here, was founded in 2018. So all of this shit happened years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago at this point. So founded in 2018, Sweet Baby Inc. is a Montreal-based narrative development and consultation studio with credited projects including God of War Ragnarok, Marvel Spider-Man 2, and Alan Wake 2, which have all lost money comparatively to the previous ones. God of War Ragnarok got a lot of praise, certainly had those elements, and Spider-Man 2, it did not sell the same, and Alan Wake 2 is a failure. Just straight up, it's a failure. While it can work with developers at any stage of a game's development, its mission is to collaborate with game developers to tell better and more inclusive stories, where representation isn't just on the surface, but integral with the design of a game and narrative. And of course, in Spider-Man 2, that led to the Miles portion, helping a gay man get a date, gay kid, because it's high school, get a date for the prom, various other DEI insert things. So yeah, while it can work with any stage, I bet you they prefer the beginning stages. That is also something that company co-founder and CEO, well, there you go, the fucking CEO, Kim Belair, believes is best done earlier. Yeah, because you got to groom them young, is what she's saying. A young in the company status, of course. Done earlier rather than later in the game's development. If a developer comes to us too late and goes, make this game non-problematic. Make this game non-problematic by making a bunch of fucking problems in it. Sorry, I digress. There's also nothing we can do about it, she tells Games Industry Biz. It's too late to change a character or what they say, so all you can do is remove, and you just end up in a situation where a character's been made to 100%, and now you're removing that fullness. Right. Sure. Belair's advice to developers doesn't include easy solutions to magic your way out of problematic narratives. It does. You just make everyone black and gay, and you make all the white people toxic and inferior. What's the problem? You do it in all the games. Why? It is magic. It's magically not delicious. Belair's advice to developers doesn't include any magic your way out of your problematic narratives that are only outwardly diverse or just to get a pass. Although this is something she says some developers have approached the company for. Instead, it comes back to making room for adding genuinely new perspectives, which also means having a more diverse team in the first. Yes, because Saga was so much more of a genuine perspective by melanating up her skin. It's about creating space. It's about saying it is a value that we should hold alongside any other technical aptitude. Here are the 3 considerations Blair, whatever, urges developers to take into account when creating diverse game narratives and characters. Representation isn't separate from design. While more studios are working with consultants when it comes to creating characters from marginalized backgrounds or having sensitivity checks, Belair says that some of the issues with problematic depictions can arise if not considered as a whole. People will, for example, say that they have consultants for these characters, and then they'll have the entire playtest team or have the direction team do a story or narrative review, but they won't include any talk about representation or sensitivity during that conversation, as though it's completely separate entity from narrative, because it fucking is. It is. No one gives a shit about your melanated up or sexuality swapped up or insert fucking character here. 99% of the times it is completely fucking separate from the narrative they're actually trying to tell, and you have to insert to make representation of marginalized characters more authentic. She makes the case that the experience of marginalized communities should be considered in the same way as if consulting with a qualified professional. No, false, incorrect, and that is that same dumb shit from the WGA of only we can tell our stories, and if you're white, you can't write about a black character, and if you're black but straight, you can't write about a black gay character. It's fucking shallow narcissism. Disgusting. But again, look how proud they say it out loud. This is a year ago before she got called out. I will often see a black character who says XYZ, and I'll go, that doesn't feel realistic based on the world that they live in. Oh, because of course you know exactly what every single black person in every single fucking world and economy and ecosystem is living in like, and you're the only one that can speak with authority. Of course, that makes complete sense. That is fucking Marxism right there. Now, everyone miserable, and then only some people can control and fucking talk about it. And everyone else, no, you're not an approved class. You can't talk about this. This character is not acting like a doctor would. And then what the fuck would you know what a doctor is acting like? The fear is that by bringing up something problematic, it would impede the design of a character or narrative, which it does, such as, for example, having a black villain. But Belair argues that it would be the opposite and add a new dimension or layer. Additive rather, right? And then when you have a black villain, they almost always try to make them sympathetic and blame it on everyone else. Hi, Killmonger. You're not asking, can we have a black villain, but can we have a black villain who just does not represent certain stereotypes that will make our audience misunderstood our intentions around their villainy? The other mistake she sees is where a game is basically seen as more diverse with a palette swap, but with no consideration over how this connects to the story or will resonate with its audience. She says, we are creating a product for real people that end up not buying your fucking product because you don't do a good job diversifying it and woking it up, is what it essentially is. And we can't pretend that if someone changed their color tomorrow, their life experience wouldn't be different. Right. Which is why you shouldn't take an already established or somewhat built character and then fucking swap it, because it changes the entire character. Also, why we don't like you when you just take an established white character and you change them, because as you point out right here, it changes the entire life experience of the character. Confront uncomfortable issues. For developers with well-meaning but homogenous teams, it can be too easy to focus on a top layer of diversity that's only celebrating the positives, but afraid to address the painful. Right. So this means every single time you have a gay character or black character, you have to include someone calling them a big fig or making a racist naysayer comment, Nutella, whatever in-word proxy you want. So that means you can't just have a black character or a gay character. You also have to put a bunch of racism, sex, all the bad things. You have to show all the negatives, even if there might not be negatives in that story. Even if it's, I guess, a future space story where there's a gay black man, someone has to have some prejudice against him. We couldn't just have just a black character who's gay, or we couldn't just have the representation. It needs to be the full hubbub of the modern struggle, regardless of the game setting you're setting it in. That's what they want. It's only going to be about sadness and hurt, and not the ways that we are resilient or the ways that issues of systemic racism are simply realities. They will also say it's not empowering if we don't show people overcoming these realities. But I don't think that. Even as a company owner existing under capitalism, which is the only way you would exist, what I'm doing is by any means overcoming capitalism, but it is me surviving and trying to thrive within. I hope you don't. I hope your company goes bankrupt. She adds, I'd rather someone say I am a black character, racism exists, here's how I live, instead of making it about. I'd rather that not exists at all. I'd rather no fucking character say insert their fucking race here. I'd rather it just be the character. Deal in specifics, not stereotypes. Yeah. So here they say it all out loud. They've been around since 2018. It's not going to go away, at least not anytime soon, but maybe sooner than later now that we're bringing it up. And just going back to the games, yes, I've heard other people mention other games. However, I was not able to find proof of it. I was not able to find proof that they worked on Saints Row, but it would not surprise me. And there are other companies like this, and they are going to be coming to light. There are other investors. We're hearing things about a company called Weird Ghosts. They're throwing investment money into DEI and underrepresented groups, which is just a cover. And that's a Canadian base. So more will come to light. Don't worry. We'll also have some movie and pop culture news later on. And because that's the second attack, because this is all DEI. It's all the same thing, just on different attack fronts. Right now, this is the video game front, and it's coming in big. Thank you if you've stayed the whole way. What the hell are you doing here? But thank you if you stayed for this whole video. I know you guys are passionate about this, and I am too. I'm going to keep covering it, as well as all the other attacks on our movies and pop culture and all that. Just this is the forefront. So stick with me. Thank you, those who have just joined me. Don't worry, we're going to keep going. Make sure to like, share, and sub. Thank you if you've done that. If you're going to do that, thank you. And if you've done that, thank you. And well,
bye.